okay, so you're doing that, you're going at this rate. What are some tools that, because a lot of us in the management space, like a lot of us do get burnt out, or a lot of us maybe don't get tired or don't get burnt out, but it's like, you know, you're going through it and you are not getting the sleep, but it's affecting your health. It's affecting your family, your personal life.
Absolutely.
What are some of the tools that people could use so in this space or abroad, so they don't get to that place where they can't do anything?
That's one of my favorite questions right now. This is what I'm mostly focused on right now, is the music community, the artists, the managers, the PR agents, the whole sector needs this conversation and needs these tools. And so this journey starts now again with Machel. When I first met Machel, he asked me, like, why did we resonate together? Some of the things that he said to me, at this point, he had like such a massive team, big organization, lots of people on staff. He'd been carrying this for 30 years, you know, and with that comes a lot of stuff on your shoulder. You're responsible for all these people's lives. And he said, can you help me responsibly bring myself back down to zero?
Wow.
Right? And can you help me find a life coach? And at that point, the life coach conversation, you know, we were talking about people like Tony Robbins and that sort of stuff. But I grew up in a house of meditators. I told you earlier that my parents brought their guru. So I was seeped in kind of like a house of people focused on yoga and meditation. And I kind of realized that what could be super beneficial for a person like Machel is being in that kind of a community. And that would be the life coach, kind of like a guru. And he had already studied a lot of transcendental meditation. He then went into another form of meditation and then a form of yoga. And he's been on that journey for a long time. And one day we were on tour, happened to be in Toronto. We tour with 26 people. It's like a circus, right? And the whole band had to go to Barbados the next day. And for some reason, mine and Machel's flights got booked for the next day. So we're in Toronto and I get a newsletter saying Sadhguru is speaking in Toronto at the N-Wave Center. So I hit Machel. I'm like, do you want to go see this guru speak? I know this is something that, you know, we've been talking about, is like finding a real coach for us. And he was like, I've been watching all of Sadhguru's YouTube videos. Buy those tickets right now. So we buy tickets. And at this point, it's day of. 6,000 people at the N-Wave Center have already bought tickets. We're sitting in the back. Our seats were in the back. Buy these tickets. I decide, like I always do, I reach out to people.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? I in my whole life, anytime I wanted a mentor in photography, in event planning, I just hit people up. They're regular people. I say, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Would you be interested in linking up? So I write an email to the Isha Foundation, that's Sadhguru's foundation. And I say, this is who Machel is. This is who I am. And we're coming tonight. I get an email back saying, when you're coming there, meet this person at the front. I had no expectation, but I meet the person at the front and they're like, here's your tickets. Oh, okay, no problem. Don't worry about those tickets. And they sit us right in the front row seats. And for 3 hours, Sadhguru is there talking to the 6,000 people, but he's engaging with us a lot. Kind of, you know, at that point I had bigger hair. Machel's got dreads. He's just kind of like making fun of us. And we're having a really good vibe, but everything that Sadhguru is saying resonates with everything that Machel and I have been talking about. Afterwards, they come to us and say, come meet him. So we meet him and he says, why don't you come and perform at my festival in India, to Machel? And we couldn't do it because the dates clashed with Carnival. So he says, come and take one of my first programs, Inner Engineering. And we were really, after hearing him speak about everything, we wanted, as you just said, what are the tools? We wanted a tool in our life that would enhance our perception, right? Artists and the arts community, so much of what we do is express.
Yeah.
We're constantly expressing, but we're not taking enough time, not only giving, but we feel we have something to express when we're not taking enough time to perceive. To express, you should perceive. Take some time to just perceive. So now Machel's been out there expressing. We were like, okay, let's take this time to enhance our perception. So then we go to this program. We learn this 21-minute meditation technique with a little bit of asana-based preparation. So like 9 minutes of preparation, 21 minutes of meditation and kriyas. And we learn how to now channel our energies in a new way. And we went through this. And now the transformation that Machel went through and myself, but like I said, I'd already been like kind of a vegan. I didn't smoke, really drink, that sort of stuff. Machel's transformation doing this was phenomenal. Like he became vegan. He stopped smoking. He stopped drinking. He like all these life transformations, all leading up to even he got married. Like all of these beautiful things were happening from this regular practice that he was doing. Our entire touring switched. And for me being his manager and him being an artist that I'm now traveling with, me being on the road with him was amazing because we could support each other in our spiritual path, right? In our practice. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't with him or he wasn't with me, maybe we'd fall off a little bit. But like I was thinking about how do we make sure that we schedule interviews at a time that allows him to do his practice. We're making sure sound check doesn't clash with it. These practices that we're doing, you can't eat for 4 hours before you have to have an empty stomach. So like, how do we plan meals around it? All of these things. You know how touring is. Of
course.
Right? So if you're not with someone who's caring about that aspect of your well-being, it's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Right? So then I encourage the whole team to start to do it. Now, like Nate, my assistant's been doing it, like all of these things. We're trying to get the whole team on that vibration. But Machel and I kept propelling our way forward. We did one program. Then we did the next program, which is called BSP, which is an experiential program that you kind of poke through the veil. Like it's like looking through the other side and being like, oh, all that can exist in life, right? But it's just a glimpse into the possibilities of life in a different realm. And then we kept learning more and more tools. And when the pandemic hit, Machel actually went to India, to the ashram in India, and spent 7 months as a volunteer.
Oh, wow.
Like,
okay.
One of the biggest artists in the Caribbean, the king of Soca, coming down to a volunteer level, dissolving himself, dissolving his persona, all of this stuff that we built up of who we are.
Was that known? Do people know that he did that?
A little bit, but not really. Like, the story kind of got out. Like Sadhguru eventually on his birthday tweeted. So now everyone was like, why are they tweeting this volunteer? Like, who is this guy? So then in the ashram, everyone started to research, like, who is this guy? People started to find out. And then Machel actually performed finally at the festival that that Sadhguru invited years ago. He got to perform at the festival.
Yeah.
That was actually the biggest performance of his life. He performed at Coachella, main stage with Major Lazer.
Yeah.
That's 250,000 people. This festival in India, Mahashivratri, has 1 million people in attendance and 140 million people watching online and television. The first year I went to that festival, I registered for Polestar, and they were like, this is bigger than the Grammys and same numbers as the Super Bowl. What is this thing?
They didn't see. This side of the world doesn't even know anything about it.
Now they're going to start to know about it, because I met with Sadhguru and said, what we've done between mine and Machel's relationship, we want to now do this for the industry, for the music industry. This is what the music industry needs, right? And so he said, okay, cool. And we gave birth to this thing called the Conscious Music Circle. Mm-hmm. And since that time, we've started to introduce the tools and like to lots of different artists.
Yeah.
Some of them continue it, some of them don't, but the ones that do are like seeing it affect kind of how they tour, how they do all this work. And it's some of the biggest artists of our time right now, you know?
And to be clear, you're introducing some of these tools and it's not taking them away from what they're doing. In fact, it's actually elevating them and actually letting them do even more, but still maintain a really good balance of their life.
Absolutely. Machel is himself saying like, I'm going to create the biggest body of work I've ever built now. 50 years old. He's like, you know, he's not like, oh, now I'm on this spiritual path and I'm never going to do anything else in my life. Which is like
the first thing a manager is going to be worried about.
Yeah.
The manager be
Most people be like, no, keep that stuff away.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Who are these people? Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. But that's why I want to build kind of a community of these people.
Yeah.
Because as people start to see other role models and their peers doing it, it's beautiful. I don't want to mention names, but I'm telling you, top 3 artists in the world right now are
you
doing
told me
this.
A couple before.
Yeah, some of the biggest artists in the world are like, we're going next week to the ashram, right? And it's like
amazing.
And these artists are like, while I'm there, they're picking up the phone, calling their friends who are like number 1 and 2s and 3s and 4s of the pop charts right now, and being like, you should do this. This will benefit you. And in no way the spiritual path is to turn you off of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's to empower you. It's to actually help you understand the gifts that we've been given and to express them in a deeper level of perception, right? So it's to actually empower you, put you on fire, and like set you out into the world and like blaze up the place.
That's crazy.
You know?
That's amazing.